Hello, I'm Chris, and this is my how to install a backup camera video. So today we're going to be putting the reverse camera on that 2004 Wrangler back there. I just uploaded a video installing this double DIN radio in that 04 Wrangler. So now we're adding a backup camera. So this one came with the radio that I bought on Amazon, but since we're putting it on the Jeep, the license plate is over to the left, so I don't think that this is going to work. During the video, we were putting this on there, and I went to O'Reilly's and got this for $20. I didn't know that they were only $20. Now, what's cool about these two is pay attention to the wiring, and as far as I'm concerned, I think that this is the best kind to get that has a yellow video cable and a red power cable. In other words, both of these completely different companies, the cameras can actually interchange with the wiring. So if you buy this one and then you want to get this one, you can change the cameras and all the wiring stays the same. So the reason I'm making this video is that not all of them come with instructions that make sense. You can see I crunched these up because I got mad because the wiring diagram is not even for this camera. So the instructions for this one are a lot better, but they still leave you shaking your head because it doesn't tell you where to actually connect these two. So that's why I'm going to make a wiring diagram that you can screenshot and help you understand this. Then we're going to go wire it up on the Jeep so you can get a real good idea how you're going to go about your own project. So the camera is going to have two wires coming off of it. The yellow cable is for the video, and the red cable is the power for the camera. And then the kits come with a real long cable that runs from the back of the car by the reverse lights where the rear camera is, all the way through the vehicle up to the back of the radio. So it's got two video cables on each side, and both sides have these little red wires hanging off. And that long cable's got one little wire hanging off of it, and one little wire over here hanging off of it. Okay, so on the back of the radio, you got to be careful because if you have RC in, that's where the rear camera is going to be plugged in. But you really need to check on the radio. This is a Pioneer. So we're plugged to rear camera in, RC in. So on the wiring harness of your radio, it's got this purple wire, reverse gear signal. Take the purple reverse gear wire, and this is happening behind the radio where it plugs in. We're going to splice it to the little red wire, and I'm just going to use a little butt connector. So that's actually the easy part. Now we got to wire the power wires. So this plugs in right there, and you can see all it is a black and red wire. So now you got three wires, and you got to figure out where these are going to go. Make it easy, go ahead and chop the two wires even, and go ahead and splice them together with a butt connector. Now we need to find power for the camera, and a 12-volt signal travels up through that wire, telling the radio to go into reverse camera mode. So now when you put your car in reverse, you either have one or two lights, and we need to get power from this circuit. Now the car has a wire running through the whole thing to get power to these lights, but since we mount the camera back here, we might as well go in and get power back here. So on the Jeep, it has a purple wire for the reverse lights that's going to give a 12-volt hot signal. And then when you find that wire, you're going to connect these two straight into it like that. Now the little black wire needs to go to ground. So on 12-volt DC, the body of the vehicle, the frame, is the ground, so we got to figure out where to connect that. So some vehicles will have black grounds in the taillight wiring, and if you have one of those, you're just going to splice that into the ground just like you did to the hot. So the Jeep does not have any black ground wires in the harness, so we have to ground it to the body. So in that case, you're either going to have to drill a hole, or you're going to have to find some kind of stud, and you're going to have to clamp a little wire terminal onto it and ground it that way. So we'll show the ground in real life. If you don't ground it, the camera's not going to work. So that's it for the wiring diagram. Screenshot it if you need it. Let's go do this in real life now. Okay, so there's that purple wire on the harness. Okay, so be careful, make sure you're in the right one. We got rear camera RC in right there. Okay, so you take that reverse gear wire out of the harness and the little red one hanging, and you're going to connect these two together. Okay, just to clarify, the wire we just looked at right behind that, coming under the dash. Okay, so we're going to have to fish it all neat through the vehicle, and then it comes from the radio over here. So we're going to wire it all up out here with the wires hanging out so you can see exactly where everything goes, and then we'll button it up and look at the final result. Like I said, it's easy to wire the camera up, but then it gets difficult right here. So just like the wiring diagram, remember the first thing we did, we're going to go in and split the wire, and we're going to connect these two red right here. So just some tiny 22 gauge wires, just split them down the middle. These are straight together, so we can go ahead and just cut even right there. So don't throw this away, because we're going to join these three in a butt connector. Be very careful when you strip this 22 gauge wire. It's super delicate. When you're using very small wire, you need to look in there and see if you got any pieces. If you do, cut it and start over. So we stripped it extra long because we want to bend this over. You got to do this with this small wire. Alright, so we're going to need a butt connector and some heat shrink. Now in the radio install video, I used these from Harbor Freight. I will never buy these again. I don't recommend them because it takes too much heat to melt the heat shrink. And on some little wires like this, you're just going to burn everything up. So I'm not recommending these to anybody. These are trash. Alright, so we get the heat shrink over the wire. Cut the piece extra long and then fold it over. So we're going to take both of these and twist them together. Fold them. So we got that done. We're going to put the heat shrink over it. Okay, so now we only got to connect one black wire and one red wire. Take off whatever you got to get to the wiring to the lights. On this Jeep, everything had to come off, and you can see the reverse light right there. It has a purple with a black stripe wire, and there it is right there. The truth is, you really do want to test it because you do not want to accidentally wire to the wrong light. So you see the purple right there in the harness. Let's just check it with a test light. The test light just needs to be grounded somewhere. So we're looking for the white reverse light to come on and the little test light to come on at the same time. So it's on. Just double check it so you don't connect into the wrong wire. So the purple wire is our 12-volt hot for the reverse light. That's where we need to connect, and you can see it's on. It's acting weird because it's not grounded correctly, so that's why grounds are super important, because look what it's doing. It's trying to ground through that. So we're going to use one of these connectors to tap into this wire. Now you connect this however you feel like you need to. You solder it, whatever you need to do. I'm just going to use this. So then these two wires, we're going to take the red wire, and that's the wire that we're going to tap into the reverse light right here. Okay, so I ran the little red wire up through here, and then we're going to tap into the purple wire right here. This one's all hooked up and ready to go. Now we do our ground. Okay, so on this tail light harness, we don't have a ground. If we had a ground in the harness, we would run this wire to the ground just like that, but we don't have one. So then this tail light housing grounds to the Jeep. See all that zinc coated? That's the grounds. If we could get a wire up in there, we could just ground right there, but we can't. So this is why we had the different options in the wiring diagram, because you got to figure out how to get this grounded. Some people like to just drill a hole somewhere hidden, and then they just attach a little terminal and a screw, and that's a ground to the body. So I don't like drilling into something unless I have to. We look right here, we got these 4 license plate bolts. So I took one out here at the bottom. So they actually screw into the Jeep body and they poke out about 1/2 inch. So then I'm going to put a flat washer, one of these little grounding washers, and a nut. So when this thing is poking out the other side, I'm going to have a screw that I can ground to. We're going to put this little terminal on the ground wire, and we're going to attach it on the other side. We may not be able to see it. We'll try. Oh, these terminals are hard. So we got that crimped on there real good. So you see how it's grounded in there. Look for places before you start drilling holes. So the problem I'm having is the camera mounts to a license plate bracket, and the license plate is over to the left. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to mount it right here. Alright, so we got it all wired up. Now let's see if this thing works. Okay, so I really don't know if this is gonna work or not. Let's see. So we're gonna put it in reverse. So it didn't come on. So I mean the reverse lights are on. What's wrong? So the problem is we're not getting power to the red wire. So the stupid connector failed. It didn't cut into the small wire enough. So we're just gonna strip this wire. We're gonna twist it and solder it the old-fashioned way. We got that ready to solder, but it's still not working. So what I'm thinking is that, remember how when I turned this on, it started lighting that bulb up because it's not grounded? Let me go ahead and put this back together, and we're gonna see if it works. Because right now, it's coming up on the thing. It's getting a signal, but there's no video. Okay, so the camera's installed. These need to be painted black, but just want you to see the wiring, where everything goes. We're gonna stuff it up in that little area. I had to fish it through this grommet. That was really difficult. Wire just runs along the Jeep harness. So it actually just runs all through here, out there, like the factory wiring. We're gonna run it up through the dash, and then of course to the radio. Okay, so let's get this thing all buttoned back up, and then we'll test the camera. Got it all back together, and you hardly even notice it. It was barely noticeable. I should have painted those black, but I'll do it when I paint the bumper. Okay, so the wire's just in the bumper, and then that's it, right up in this little corner. So it's November 30th, 2019 in Houston, Texas, and I'm not even lying, it's freaking hot out here. It makes no sense. Let's see if this thing works. So, put it in reverse. There we go. We can see everything. I'm gonna see how close I can get to this van. I don't trust this camera. It feels like it's gonna get me into a wreck. Okay, so let's see how far green is. Alright, so green is safe. Well, that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.